What's up, guys? It's KardTrickKid, and this is my first video of 2020, and I'm going to be teaching you an awesome triumph trick that you can impress a lot of people with in 2020. Let's just talk about my goals for 2020. I think maybe by the end of the year, I'll have about, I don't want to guess too high on this, but 700 or 800 subscribers. That would be awesome. And for views, maybe 15,000 views. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Alright, so let's get into the performance of the triumph card. This is the performance of the trick. It starts out by the magician separating two halves of card, a face-up half and a face-down half. So the magician shuffles the two halves together to just mess everything up and make everything harder for the magician to find the spectator's card, which they haven't even picked yet. So the magician keeps shuffling the cards. The spectator can shuffle too, just to further mix it up. And as you can see, the deck is very sloppy. You can probably see where this is going if you know a couple of triumph tricks. But the magician spreads out the cards and asks the spectator to flip over one face down card to memorize it and put it back in face up. So take out a face down card, memorize it, and then put it back in face up. So I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to look at the card. Okay? And they can put it anywhere face up. And then the magician continues to shuffle. And just like that, every card is just messed up in the deck. Like this. Just like that. It's very messy. It's very hard to put back together for magicians. But with the snap of the magician's fingers, just like this, all the cards have turned face up. Just like this. Except for one. One card, the 7 of diamonds, the spectator's card. That's the performance, and now let's get into the tutorial. So this trick requires a slight gimmick. All you're going to need is a small packet or about a whole deck of double facers. You can get these on Amazon, or you can get a deck of double backers. I prefer doing it with double facers, probably because I don't have a whole deck of double backers. But yeah, so get about half of a deck of double facers and half of a real deck that has similar cards to the ones of the double facers. So I wouldn't use Shinlim's Regalia cards because the pips are a bit different. The spectator might notice that and think it's suspicious. Also, when you're picking out the decks, make sure they're in similar condition, because if they're in different condition, if the regular deck, like the one with the actual backs and the actual faces, is dirty and worn down, they might see a difference of the two halves, and that might give away the trick. So I'm going to grab more cards for the normal deck. So all you're going to do is separate the two halves and hold a break in between them. So presentation for this trick is you start out by separating the halves, but if you just separate them, they'll be wondering why one was face up. So what you can do is you can flip it over like that to make it look more normal. Then you just show that face up and face down. Everything looks normal right now, and you just shuffle them together like that. It's that simple. And once you've done that, keep shuffling the cards. You can allow them to shuffle as long as they don't start flipping over other cards, because that ruins the effect. So make sure they can do an overhand shuffle, they can cut the cards, they can do almost anything as long as it doesn't flip over cards. So now that you have this giant mess of cards, what it really looks like on the other side, since there are double facers, is an entire face-up deck. So this is where the secret comes in. You're going to ask them to flip over one card that is face down. Because if they flip off a face-up card, it's one of the double facers. And also, try to have variety in the cards. Like, there are two 6 of hearts next to each other. I wasn't really paying attention to the cards when I picked them out of the double facer deck. But yeah, try and pay attention to the cards. So have spectator take out one face down card, memorize it, and put it back anywhere in the deck of cards, anywhere. So they have to put it back in face up, because if they don't put it in face up, it's not going to turn up face down on the other side of the deck. So if they put it in face down, the effect's not going to work. You have to make sure they put it in face up, just like that. So here's some pattern for this next part. You could spread out the cards and say it's entirely mixed. And let's say you had a regular card on top, not a double facer. If you had a regular card on top, this next flipping part won't really work. So make sure to shuffle the cards until you have a face-up card on top, just like that, and give the deck a couple of cuts to make sure you're not trying to find a certain card, maybe their card. So now that you have a face-up card on top, you can do the little flipping motion. So when you're talking to them, you can ask them, what was your card? And while they're looking at you, telling you their card, you can secretly flip over the deck like that, and the secret move is done. Or what you can do is you can do a turnover pass, like that. That brought their card to the bottom, which I didn't really mean to do. But if it was in the middle, if it was on if it was in the middle right here, you could do a turnover pass, and trick's done. So once you've done that turnover thing, you can say, but with I snap my fingers, all the cards turn face up, except one. You can have a giant build-up, and then reveal their card. The only thing I don't like about this trick is putting it all back together after it's done. So you have to separate all the double facers from the regular cards. And if you're wondering, these cards are the Super Knock V2s from House of Playing Cards and Alex Pandrea. And yeah, that's the entire tutorial for the trick. Let's just go over it one more time. So you have your double facer packet. I'm just going to go over it with 2 cards, or 3 cards, 4 cards, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have your 2 packets. You shuffle them together. You have them take a face down card, flip it over, and memorize it. And then you do the turnover thing. You can turnover pass. You don't do a turnover pass with 4 cards, but you can try. You do a turnover pass, and then the only face down card is their card. A nice subtlety you can have with this trick is having the cards in the box of the cards they belong to. I know that sounds kind of weird, but the cards that I used were the Super Knock V2s, and if I just had them, it might seem suspicious. So if you put them in the box and you take them out when you're about to show the trick, why am I having so much? Okay. So you put it in the box, and then when you're going to go to perform it to somebody, you say, hey, do you want to see a trick? Sure. Open the box, take out the cards, and blow their mind. So yeah, that's a really easy card trick you can do. Thank you for watching. Have a great 2020. Happy New Year.